This is NR2003 Predicts. Using constantly updating ratings, we determine where Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series drivers will place at any given track any given week. Standard disclaimer, this video is for entertainment purposes only, using the process of artificial intelligence, and should not be used in the process of gambling. So here's how it works. We update drivers' ratings week by week as we go throughout the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series schedule. We run a 100% simulation with normal tire wear and fuel consumption. Qualifying results match what the drivers actually ran in real life. Because qualifying data can't be arranged at the same time as forcing cautions, stages will not be enforced throughout these races. And weather used reflects the real-time data based on the actual start time of the race. Daniel Hemric getting his first career pole, a big surprise for David Ragan to be up here on the front row. Green flag flying, the final race of the round of 12 in the playoffs. The 38 car does not get going, but Hemric is able to start moving his way toward the front of the field, leading Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson, both of the winners in this round. And Hemric's going to lead the first lap as he put together a great qualifying run as he still seeks out a ride for next season. Although here comes Ryan Blaney. He's going to look to the inside and try to get some more playoff points heading into the round of 8, which he knows he's heading into. Now it's going to be the 12 that's out in front, so very short-lived lead for the driver of the 8. Brad Keselowski, the most recent winner at this racetrack, got that victory in overtime, racing against Alex Bowman, who finished in second place. Also has a win here back in 2011. Now trying to work his way up the field in solid position right now. Chase Elliott, the winner of this event last year, was able to advance himself into the round of 8. Now trying to see what he can do to get another victory, as it looks like he's going to need one if he wants to advance to the next round, because all three Hendrick cars in the playoffs are outside of the cut line. Jimmy Johnson not a part of these playoffs. Does have the most victories here among active drivers, though, tied with Kevin Harvick. Last one here in 2015. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. trying to look to the inside of Ryan Blaney for the victory. He swept the 2017 races and is trying to get his first victory here in 2 years. Now he heads to the lead, getting by the 12 car. We mentioned Kevin Harvick. He's also got 3 victories here, but he is starting from the back of the pack. Little bit of a weird situation in pre-qualifying inspection. They passed on the second time, but self-failed them to change a part, but then failed the third time, which meant that they had to start at the rear of the field. So now trying to work their way up and try to get some stage points. Joey Logano, a 2-time winner here, got 2 victories in the fall race in 2014 and 2015. Now trying to battle with the 9 car, trying to get an extra position. Ryan Newman was oh so close to getting his first victory in quite a while, and his first with Roush Fenway Racing 1 week ago at Talladega, became 7 1,000ths of a second short. He is trying to get up here, won in 2003. Here comes Kurt Busch. He's going to take over second place from Blaney if he can get to his inside, and he's also going to take a look at the lead for Martin Truex Jr., unable to make that move going into turn 3. Kyle Busch, another winner at this racetrack, but he does not have a victory here since 2016, and that's his only one. So he's trying to see what he can do to beat out this pack, and running a little bit of traffic right now with that 9 car. His teammate Denny Hamlin won here in 2012, and he's just outside the top 5, trying to see if they can catch that draft to make their way back up into the top 5. And right now, Austin Dillon is starting to give him a little bit of a gap, although it seems like the top 3 have really broken away. But contact here between Joey Logano and Ryan Preece. Preece gone a lap down. Logano tags him and the wall and then takes out Paul Menard. That is going to send him for a spin, and the pole sitter Daniel Hemric experiencing mechanical problems. He is stalled on pit lane, and he's going to be sitting there for a couple of laps trying to get it repaired. He'll return to the racetrack, but that is a couple laps down and big problems for him. Kurt Busch able to end up on the lead after some pit stops. But right on the restart, 4-wide situation there. Kyle Busch goes airborne and Ty Dillon into the wall along with Michael McDowell, and I believe William Byron was the other car involved. The good news for Busch is that he's got a pretty solid gap that most things today are not going to remove him from playoff competition in the next round, even though he's not officially clinched in yet. So Kurt Busch will get back on the restart, but it looks like Jimmy Johnson's having some problems. Might have lost his brakes, and he goes right back up in front of the crowd, and Kyle Larson involved. Big hit for the 48 car, who looks like he just lost all of his brakes. Looking on board the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who's also going to get involved. A little bit less contact for Larson. That does not help at all. He revealed that he had a rib injury after a wreck at Talladega with Alex Bowman. So he's definitely not feeling too well, but he is planning to run this entire event, in contrast to Paul Menard, who got subbed out for Matt Crafton last week. Now it's Matt DiBenedetto out in front after a little bit of pit strategy, but he might not be there for long as there's another crash in Turn 1 and another similar situation to what we just saw, although this time it was Eric Jones who pulled away, but I believe he had some heavy smoke on his race car, and Alex Bowman, one of the playoff competitors, is going to have a little bit less speed in this one as he is heavily damaged. Kurt Busch back in the lead as DiBenedetto went down the pit lane to get his service this time around. And Chase Elliott taking a look to the inside, trying to go for the lead on the 1 car. The winner of this race 1 year ago, and this time it's a must-win situation for him. And he is trying to go for that spot. It looks like he's going to get it. William Byron, we saw him get a little bit of contact in that wreck with Kyle Busch. He is at the back of these playoff standings, and he is also in pretty much must-win situation, along with Clint Boyer, who's trying to make a move to the inside of him. All 3 of those Hendrick cars really struggling. Here's someone who's not struggling, Matt Tifft. He had a pretty solid qualifying run, not as good as his teammate David Reagan, but he is up here running in the top 3 as we were on the back of Kurt Busch, who had passed him for second. We'll see if he can maintain that speed, although it looks like he might be fading a little bit now. Alex Bowman, with that damage, you can see he is running far away from the pack and trying to just hold up, try to keep himself on the lead lap as long as they don't get a long green flag run. Kurt Busch creeping in on Chase Elliott. We've gotten a little bit further away from him, but now trying to reel him back in, and now Ryan Newman making a move to the inside of Matt Tifft. That'll be for 3rd position. So Tifft really did lose that ground that he had with the leaders. Tough break for David Reagan. He is trying to keep up with these guys, but he fell about 30 positions from the start of the race to about lap 20. So right off the bat, that qualifying setup did him no favors, but he is trying to gain those positions back as Chase Elliott extends his lead by a mile. And here comes Ryan Newman. The speed is in his race car right now as he is trying to look to the inside of Kurt Busch. That's a move for 2nd place, and we have been talking about the improvements that the 6 team has had all season long. Well, they're really showing up right now, and even though they didn't get past the round of 16, they are definitely showing some improvement as Chase Elliott now going to make a move to the inside of his teammate Alex Bowman and going to put him a lap down. And he is now going to be the first one to come down to pit lane as the 6th car goes by. He is going to stay out on the racetrack, but Chase Elliott coming down for early pit service, trying to get the fresh tires now. Brad Keselowski will come in from the 2nd position. A couple other guys behind him, that's Ty Dillon and Bowman. And here comes Ryan Newman finally for his pit service. He'll come down and get 4 fresh tires, and Chase Elliott will end up cycling back to the lead when it's all said and done, and he will have a pretty decent gap over Denny Hamlin. But contact here going into Turn 1. Landon Castle and Darrell Wallace Jr. get together. 43 going to spin down the racetrack, and Parker Kligerman going to plow right into him, along with Corey LaJoie for the 96. That's his 2nd huge hit in a row. Crashed right at the end of the Talladega race. So a little bit of pit strategy under that caution, as it was just after those pit stops had taken place. Chase Elliott does come down, and that leaves the lead in the hands of Ryan Newman. Contact here. 21 tagged the wall, got hit by the 37. 17 gets spun around and right back into Buescher. So the 2 guys that are essentially swapping rides at season's end, they get collected in this one along with Menard. Looking at the green flag, it looks like Ryan Newman took a pit stop, and Denny Hamlin will have the lead. And now Michael McDowell down the apron, and that is going to take out William Byron. And the 24's car is all crunched up, and that is essentially going to take him out of the playoffs this time. And another big hit right there. Matt DiBenedetto with Ryan Newman, who had just came down for that pit stop. And that is going to take him out of contention. I don't believe that he is out of the race yet, but he is going to fall a lot of speed And now we got the 2 car of Keselowski out in front, along with his teammate Ryan Blaney just behind him. And just before we took that restart, Ryan Preece experienced an issue, brought it down to the inside of the racetrack, and it looks like his car is just going to stop there. But before caution comes out, it's going to be Alex Bowman put into the wall by Landon Castle going into turn 3. Another playoff contender, another Hendrick driver experiencing problems. Obviously not a huge hit, but definitely going to cause a little bit more damage than the 88 was already having. So it's still Keselowski out in front. And Ryan Blaney, the teammate and the driver with the win already in this round, is not giving any favors as he's going to go to the inside and try to take the lead back over. Getting to the bottom of David Reagan, trying to get his lap back, he is going to take over the lead. Looking back at the 47, who had an interesting week as their hauler caught fire on the way to the racetrack, and that meant that they had to take out the 37's backup to get on the racetrack, and that really showed it was a backup car because the car really dropped right at the start of the race and they fell a lap down early. They're one of the furthest back running cars on the track right now that isn't out. And Kevin Harvick getting held up by Ryan Newman with that heavy damage to his race car. As you can see, several drivers going right underneath the 4. Here comes Denny Hamlin as he has found his way in the second and now challenging Ryan Blaney for the lead. Side by side going through turns 1 and 2, and he might be able to get the position, and it looks like he'll have it. Still side by side, but he might be able to clear him with some help from the teammate Martin Truex Jr. coming behind him. As we mentioned, Paul Menard got subbed out by Matt Crafton last race at Talladega. It seemed like it was mostly precautionary in case they got into a flip, but this time looks a little safer in terms of flipping over, although it looks like Jimmy Johnson did that earlier. And now we see Truex Jr. making a pass on Hamlin going for the lead. As Blaney's going to follow, Hamlin charging back and trying to get to the inside of the 19. And he's got the position back. A lot of challenges for the lead here. Meanwhile, for Clint Boyer, he is trying to work out the traffic as he really needs some points based on where he's running in the playoffs right now. He has a wide margin to make up, and he got held up a little bit by Kyle Larson, who has damaged himself, even though he is locked into the round of 8. Joey Logano has made up some good progress. We talked about Kevin Harvick having to start from the back. Joey Logano did not have a good qualifying run, has to work his way up in the race. His teammate Brad Keselowski comes down for pit service. Now we're going to see all that cycle start up once again. This should be their last stop of the day. Here comes Blaney. And Ryan Newman in the middle of the cycle is going to blow up going down the front stretch. So already damaged, but it looks like his day is going to end in a puff of smoke. So not a good run for the driver that finished runner-up 1 week ago. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. down from second place. Trying to get that fresh rubber ahead of his teammate, who will come down right here. So now that should mean that all of our drivers cycle out, and it will be Truex Jr. out in front with that early service. That will help him out, but Blaney right on his tail. Still a lot of competition here as the 12 car going to try to look for a move down the backstretch. He's going to try to fight in there, but it seems like the surface on this racetrack allows for some multi-groove racing, and that high line still working out for Truex Jr. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott has kind of fallen way off the pace as in the background you can see those front 2 guys are going to chase him down to go a lap down. Very surprising to see out of that 9 car. For Daniel Hemrick, he's going to be lucky if he can get a top 20, salvage that from the day as he had mechanical problems earlier in the race, very early on, and that cost him a few laps. Just trying to see what he can do to make sure he gets a good run, try to prove himself for a ride next year. Blaney's still right behind Truex Jr., but he's going to have another shot at him as well as the rest of the field. There's a debris caution. Very few laps left in this race, and now we're going to see what they can do. Blaney going to go to the outside of Bowman early as Truex Jr. tries to hold the lead. Denny Hamlin making a charge through the field. He is going to look for second place on Blaney. Holds him off through the tri-oval. But Hamlin looking into the inside in turn 1, and he's got the position. Now chasing down his teammate. The 11 trying to pass up Martin Truex Jr. as we hit 2 laps to go. And the 11 side by side with the 19. Truex really likes that high line, but Hamlin's going to make it stick in the low line. And if he can make it stick on the exit, and it looks like he will, the 11 car takes over the lead with 2 laps to go, and he's now going to see the white flag. Can Martin Truex Jr. make a move? Something different to get around the 11 car. Truex Jr. tore up the round of 16 with wins at Las Vegas and Richmond. For Hamlin, he hasn't won since Bristol outside of the playoffs, and now he is looking for his 5th victory of the season. A winner here in 2012, he's put up only 4 top 10s in the 13 races since that victory. However, coming off of turn number 4, the 11 car is able to hold off the 19, and he is going to see the checkered flag and advance into the round of 8. He didn't need a victory, but in terms of getting into the championship 4, that's going to be a sweet extra 5 points. Hamlin going to beat out Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano. It's 3 Penske drivers in the top 5. Clint Bowyer did everything he could in that 6th position, but I don't believe that's going to be enough to advance. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon for a great run, and Chase Elliott will round out the top 10. Looking back 10 spots, Suarez, Kurt Busch, and Almirola would be the last drivers on the lead lap, as Paul Menard, the first driver, a lap down. Matt Tifft had a solid run going for him, and he finished in the 16th spot. And David Reagan, his teammate, who started on the front row, will end up in 18th. Going back another 10, we got Daniel Hemrick, the pole sitter, who struggled with his car after having mechanical issues, ends up 3 laps down in the 22nd position. And Alex Bowman, with crash damage, ends up in 26th. Big bummer for him as he was running in the playoffs, along with William Byron, who finishes in the 32nd position with his damage. And that should be sending at least a couple of the Hendrick cars early in these playoffs. That is it for NR2003 Predicts. We hope you enjoy the race, and we will see you all next time.